Buena gente, ¿cómo les va? Estamos acá nuevamente en este segmento que tanto nos gusta, que es este. Hola, hola.
Sí, te escucho perfecto.
Pensé que se había acordado.
No,
A
hay una interferencia, pero no sé qué pasó.
Estamos acá en esta nueva entrega de protagonistas del cómic, la número 7. Increíble, Mario.
No,
7
increíble.
protagonistas del cómic. 7,
Y la
7.
verdad que 7. El número de Bond, 7, 007. Pero la verdad que estamos pasando a fenómeno y qué mejor ahora con nuestro invitado, ¿no?
Tal cual. A partir de ahora, justamente, es nuestro primer invitado italiano. Italiano.
Ujú.
Tuvimos de España, tuvimos de Estados Unidos.
Y ahora tenemos Italia.
Ahora tenemos de Italia. Vamos tachando el pasaporte.
Sí.
Así que le damos la
Ahora vamos a
bienvenida.
hablar en italiano.
Oh, no.
No.
We
Hasta
are not
tanto no
going to speak
sé.
in Italian. We're not going to speak in
No.
Italian. We don't know Italian. We don't
We
know
don't know.
Italian.
Just a few words.
Just no sé. Buonasera. Y ahí, that's all. That's all. So we're going to speak in English. We're going to welcome Mr. Marco Santucci.
Hello guys, hello Mario, hello Kai.
Ciao Marco!
Ciao. Come stai?
Buonasera, Marco.
Bene.
Bueno. Okay, my Spanish finish here. My wife speaks Spanish perfectly, but I merely speak English, so I try to do my best.
You do your
Just
best.
like us. Just like us.
Since we are starting this interview, and most people will want to know about your beginnings in the comic industry. Can you tell us about it? How you begin in the comic industry in Italy, for example?
Yeah.
Your beginning.
Okay. My career started in 1995 in Italy. And I started like the big part of the artist. I started for a little publisher, and this publisher was Phoenix Publishing. And if you want, I can show you something about that. I have some example of my starting in career. If you want, I can share you my screen.
Okay, please.
You
Okay,
want
go
to
ahead.
see?
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, share video, share screen. Okay, easy. Okay, you can see it. Okay.
Yes.
This is my
Yeah.
my first professional work. It was only a 8-page story. It was about a characters. The name of the characters was Nembo. Is not Nembo Kid like Superman, like we said.
Yeah.
It was a superhero miniseries, and they took me for working on this miniseries because in that years there was a really famous artist here in Italy. The artist was Claudio Castellini. I think you know him.
Castellini. Yeah,
Castellini.
Yes.
And Claudio has been my master. He didn't know that because I didn't know him. Now I know him. We are friends, but in 1995, no. But all the artists tried to copy his work, and I was among that artists. And so this little publisher was looking for someone that was working in a style similar to the Claudio. So I loved the Claudio style, and I tried to copy his way to work. So they took me to work on this project, and I started in this way basically. And these are my first work for.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the Silver Surfer. Again, from thanks to Claudio, I have had a big influences from his work, and actually, I have had big influences by classical authors like John Buscema, Neil Adams.
Oh,
After that, Alan Davis, that is still a big
yes.
influence for me. And so my graphic style starts from that. I think that this one is one of the maybe the first drawing ever published. It has been published in a little fanzine, in a little
Yes.
a fanzine. I don't know if it's
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Fancy. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
called something.
this is my first work published, a little illustration. It was about Nathan Never, that is another famous character here in Italy, and Claudio Castellini was the cover artist of the series. So
Uh,
I felt in love for his way to work. So I was copying everything about it, and after that I managed to work for bigger publishers. At this point, I can stop the
Let me,
communication.
Marco. What
Yeah.
I have some slides. Want to? Do you
Oh
want
yes,
to share it?
yeah.
Let me remove. Then
Yeah,
I let
sure.
you share
Oh, thank you.
screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Okay. The first one
Yeah.
on the left, Samuel Sand, is my, let's say, first professional big work for the Italian market.
Okay.
It was big
yeah.
because it was a 94 pages story, and it wasn't for Sergio Bonelli Editore, that here in Italy is the biggest publisher
Yeah.
for comics, but it was for Star Comics, that it was a little publisher in Italy, but really strong anyway. And they gave me the chance to work on Samuel Sand. That was, as I said, my my first proof like a professional artist.
Yeah.
After that, I worked on Samuel Sand for about 3 years.
Marco,
And yes,
let me ask you a question. Samuel
yeah,
Sand is something about the spy genre,
about.
about spy genre, about spies, about
No, it
About
was
spies.
something. It was like something like X File. It was something like that.
Oh,
Because
my
what?
God.
I,
Okay.
I,
Yeah. It was more similar to X File. You know, it was the 90s, and X
Yes.
File was one of the most famous series in that period.
Yes.
So this series was strongly inspired to X Files. It was about these two detectives, Samuel Sand and Lila,
Mhm.
and they investigated about strange cases, weird cases. So there was vampires, time traveling, and this kind of stuff.
Oh
And
my God.
sorry.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
but it looks like something I would read. Yeah,
Yes,
oh,
of course. Me too.
something. There's some
I'm
about
completely
something.
in. I'm completely
yeah.
Yeah,
in.
man. I
I
mean,
think that I
you
have
you
something about it. Let me check.
you're speaking about time travel, vampires, aliens.
Fantastic
What else?
forces.
What else?
Yes. If you want, I can show you some pages.
Oh,
For example, these are the first pages of this book, and
oh, the Louvre.
you see they are really uh, really European, obviously, because here in
Yes.
Yeah.
Italy we work in this way. We work always in three strips, split in various panels.
Yes.
And you can change this layout of the page. So all the pages have the same layout. It's the same
Perfect.
layout that also in Sergio Bonelli Editori all the authors have to use. So this is Samuel Sand. It was really funny to work on it. I had a lot of fun working on it. But after 3 years, the series closed, and I have to find something else to work.
Yes.
So I started to work for Sergio Bonelli Editore as a penciler, not only
Yes.
not like how to say that. I
The
was
head
doing
artist.
only the pencils, not the
Yes.
inks. For Samuel Sand, I was doing everything, but
Yeah,
when I started to
you
work
you
for Sergio
you
Bonelli,
did all the duties. You did
yeah,
all the duties.
yeah. Instead of for Sergio Bonelli, I started to work only as penciler,
As a
and I
pencil.
worked on Mr. No, that is the second characters in the row.
Yeah.
And this time it was a comics about this adventure man. It took place in the 50s in Brazil. It
Yes.
was something like we could say something like Indiana Jones, if
Yes.
you
Oh,
not so
Yeah.
similar, but similar, something similar. And it was a really realistic series. And I think that this is important because this kind of comics taught me a lot. Working in a very realistic comics taught me a lot about the technical part of this work,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously working on American comics is fantastic, but sometimes we are maybe too much freedom to do whatever you
yeah,
want,
Yes,
and
of course.
sometimes
exactly.
you can lost the sense of the reality. So for me, this first part of my career was really, I think that is still really important because it taught me a lot. Absolutely. I don't know if I have some pages from Mr. No. Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
look at that.
I did this kind of things. The inks are not mine, are by Marco Bianchini, but depends. Oh, this one is too little. I did this kind of things. So, oh my God, they are really little, really, really little. Ah, my God. Anyway,
Oh, look at that. The plane.
yes, maybe if I go on my website, I could find something more, something better. But let's try. Let's try. Let's see original author.
Let me do it for
Yeah,
you, please.
Mario has the
Let me
page.
do it. Let me do it.
Oh, I found it. I found it. Okay, I find it. Ecco qua. Okay. Okay. Maybe
Here,
this is okay. I find it.
here. ¿Se puede ver?
Yeah. This is the work I was doing for Sergio Bonelli Editore on Mr. No. On
I
Mr.
love
No.
it.
And
Look at this.
yeah. It was I having a lot of fun working on it. It was sometimes after a while it started to be boring because I worked on this series for 8 years. 8 years.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a
I
God.
long
had
run.
yeah a very long run, but you know in Italy, okay, in Italy the books are very big. Usually they are about 100 pages, and to make one single book you spend about 6, 7, 8 months.
Oh,
And so in that 8 years I did about 10 books of the series. Obviously
oh,
every month the author changes, the artist changes on the series,
Yes.
but I spend a lot of time and work on this series, and as I said, I learn a lot. And another good thing of working for Italian market is that you work totally in black and white. Usually, the Sergio Bonelli editorial published in black and white, at least at that time. Now they are publishing also in colors, but usually the big part of their production is in black and white. And working in black and white is very, very important for an artist, especially from, as I said, the technical part, because you haven't the colors that can save you in some points, and you have to fill all the pages with signs, tones, and whatever backgrounds. And so it's very good for the technical part of an artist. And
sorry, Marco, to interrupt you. Especially for an art with a clean art as yours, because you have such a clean art and a fine way of drawing that it's a very clear image that you saw in the screen in the paper. It's and to ink that it's very it looks very cool.
Thank you. Obviously, yeah.
I'm sorry, Marco. The thing you did in Mr. No and in the other somewhere, Sand, it's like our technique here in Argentina. In Argentina, our artists are like the same. So our artists are not copies. Just they learn about the European style. So it's similar to us. So it's fun to read everything.
In Argentina you have a lot of great artists. Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely. In fact, some of them are working for Sergio Bonelli for Italy. Many times on text. Enrique Breccia is from Argentina, right?
Breccia, yes.
He's a great artist. The father and the son, they are fantastic. Okay, and after Mr. No, that was a great series, but it wasn't actually the most important series of the Sergio Bonelli editore. They asked me to work on text. That is the most important series of Sergio Bonelli editore. Is the most famous characters here in Italy, along with Dylan Dog. But there was a problem that I don't like the Western. Absolutely don't like the Western. But
the cradle of the spaghetti Western, my best genre in cinema.
Yes. I am more a Star Wars guy. I'm not
of course,
a Western guy. Yes,
I love it too.
Yeah, I grown up with Star Wars. I saw the first Star Wars when I was 3 with my father at the movies. So the Western is a totally different genre from for my generation. So I prefer the sci-fi instead of the historical genre.
Marco, they ask you to draw a rifle and you wanted to draw a blaster.
Yeah, exactly.
So they told you to write a cowboy and they want to draw Han Solo.
Yes, exactly. In fact, the funny thing is that until that point, when I was working on Mr. No, even if it was a realistic genre, I have had a lot of freedom, and so I, from time to time, I try to break the layout, to draw the characters that came out from the panels, and a little American. I try to do a
Yes.
little thing in American way, and
Yes.
they allowed me to do that. But when I started to work on text, the story was completely different because obviously text is a very famous character with a specific canon,
Yes.
and you can't break it. You can't break it, just you can break it. So you have to draw him in a specific way. Tex is one of the that characters that they can't smile too much, they can't be angry too much, they can't to act too much. For me it means that the character is very stiff, but
Yes.
it's very difficult to draw it just for this reason. For example, the artist that drew the covers, Claudio Villa, is one of the biggest and greatest artists that I know, along with my master Fabio Civitelli, because my master, the guy that taught me a lot about this work, is Fabio Civitelli, and he is one of the most famous artists of text. And
Yes.
for him, it has been always a big delusion that I don't like it because I know. So I always told to him, sorry, Fabio, but I can draw Western. I don't like it. I can't do
Yeah.
it. And anyway,
I imagine your master saying, "Why,
yeah,
why?"
exactly,
Why?
exactly. Because he has drawn text for 30 years. I don't know how
Oh.
it's possible, because after I worked on it for 2 years, for me it was enough.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I say that with all the respect for the characters and Sergio Bonelli editorial, but it's just a matter of taste. I am
Yes, of course.
I like to work on things that I love, and I don't love the Western. That's it.
Yes.
And so, in the period that I was working on text, it was for me very important because uh, I had a lot of difficulties to draw it, to learn how to draw a cowboy, to draw the hat, the guns, the attitude of these characters.
Yeah.
And from the editorial part, they pushed me a lot to do that in a specific way. And
Oh.
Marco, do you
yeah,
have to study all these
yeah,
things about weapons,
The style,
the
everything. Yeah.
style, the clothes?
yes. Obviously, you have to study a lot. And by luck, my master was one of the artists of text, so he passed me a lot of references, gave me a lot of advices about how to draw text. And but it was
Tex
really, really hard for me drawing it.
Tex
Really.
has an style book like DC Comics.
No,
Not
mainly
much.
usually you have to look at the other artists, how the work of the
Oh.
other artists. You don't have a really guidebook. You have to
Yes.
look at the other artists, that the best ones, obviously, like Fabio Civitelli, Claudio Villa. Um, there are a lot of artists that work very well on text, and since you don't have all this freedom to do that in your way, and you don't need to have a book, a guidebook to do that,
Hmm.
because all the artists drawn in their own style, but is very strict, very strict.
Hmm.
The guides that the editorial part give to you is very strict. So uh, for this reason, you don't need a guidebook. And as I said, I spent about 2 years in working on a very long story. It was never-ending story because at the beginning, yes, at the beginning it was about two books, and it was 220 pages. And for me, okay, I can do it. But at some point, the story became longer and became three books, and it started to be a nightmare for me. because because you have to know that when you draw text, the most difficult things, at least for me, is that you have to draw, for example, 10 pages where the character just speaks around a
Oh,
table, speaks in a restaurant.
oh God.
And for an artist, it's very, very difficult to do something interesting of about people that just speaks for pages and pages and pages. But the readers like it a lot.
Mm.
And but the
Yeah, but
artists,
then for the artist, it cuts a lot of the dynamics
yeah,
of the drawing. You have
yeah,
to draw an static man speaking, and it's like,
yeah. But
but
that's very difficult for an artist. But at the same time, if you wanted to improve, it push you to improve a lot your way to draw, because all the panel, all the page, because it became a new. You have to think how to do that different, better, interesting. So you have to push your skill a lot,
yeah,
much more than if you have to do something more sci-fi or whatever. And for this reason, if even if the my experience on text was from some point of view a nightmare, from another point of view it was good, because it pushed me a lot from the point of view of the skills.
yeah,
And in the meantime, I was working on text, and I was trying to to go on from page
you
to
are
page.
rowing, you are
Yeah,
rowing and rowing and
yes,
rowing
exactly.
against the tide.
Yeah, exactly. I started to say I can do it for forever. I can do it forever because I became mad. So um, I saw that a friend of mine, a very famous friend of mine now, Simone Bianchi, started to work for American comics.
Mhm.
And you have to think that until then it was difficult to work for USA, because you know, it was difficult to send the pages in USA. It was not easy until the 2000, about 2000, when there wasn't internet, there wasn't the web. But
I, I was gonna ask you that uh, what year you were talking about, because uh, I suppose before 2000, before internet, it was totally unreachable.
it was difficult. There was some artists like Claudio Castellini that started to work for USA. I think that Claudio, Pino Rinaldi, they were the first artist that was working for Marvel Comics and
Mhm.
whatever. But just because it was really difficult to have the communication with the USA, today is really simple. Is really simple. But before the 2000, it was really hard to do that. But when at this point we are about 2008, it became simpler, because there was the email, there was everything to work from Italy for the USA. And as I said, I asked to Simone Bianchi if he could show my test pages um, to Marvel Comics. And he was so kind that he did it, and he shown my test pages to the editor of Spider-Man, Stephen Walker,
Mhm.
and when I showed my stuff to him, Simone told me, Marco, they said to me that your work is good. Yeah, they are interested to working with you, and I said, great.
Mhm.
But after that, I haven't any email, any nothing from Marvel for about 2 months. About. In the meantime, I was working. I still was working for Tex on Tex,
Yes.
and at that point, I was a little desperate because I started to think, okay, then there's no way they don't like my work. I have to keep working on the Western. But at some point, they contacted me. They contacted me, and they asked me to work for them. But the problem was that I still have to close the long story on text. About I have to work on text for. I had to work on text for about 6 months. So there was a lot of work to do before leaving.
Yeah.
So I started I was happy because Marvel contacted me, but I couldn't take another work before finishing text, because when you do text, you can do anything else because it absorbs you totally. So I replied to Marvel that, guys, I'm up to finish a project for Sergio Bonelli Editore before taking another project because I can't. Yeah, I'm a professional artist. I don't want to stop a project for taking another project because it's not professional. So I have to wait, and it was great and terrible at the same time at that point because I was afraid that Marvel didn't want me anymore. But I I was lucky because they waited me, and when I finished the text story, uh, I started to. They asked me to work on Secret Invasion Spider-Man, and for me it's great because Spider-Man is one of my favorite character. Absolutely, I grown up reading Spider-Man, so for me it was fantastic. And so I worked on Spider-Man, on Siege Spider-Man. After that, I started working on X Factor,
X Factor.
Captain America, and so I had a lot of fun working on these characters that for me were mythos, absolutely.
Which was your favorite to draw?
Spider-Man.
Mhm.
At that period was Spider-Man, absolutely. I started to work just on my favorite characters, absolutely.
Nice.
And but in the meantime, I still working for Sergio Bonelli because I finished the text story, but after that I came out from text because I couldn't stand there anymore. And they gave to me another series called Dampir. So for a period for about 3 years, I split my work between Sergio Bonelli Editore and Marvel, and it
Mhm.
was amazing because uh, obviously I haven't the time to boring
Of
to
course.
boring the work because all
Yes.
the time I change the genre, the series. So in in that period I tried to bring my European experience in the American comics. And I still do that. And I like to do that because I
Mhm.
like the American comics, but I like to draw them in a more European way.
Mhm.
Uh, for example, as I said from the beginning, my favorite artists are John Buscema, Neil Adams, Alan Davis. But at some point, I saw Brian Hitch. Brian Hitch for me is one
Mhm.
of the greatest artists in of the past years because he took the American comics but drawn them in a really realistic way, especially, for example, Ultimates. For me, Ultimates is a masterpiece because
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's the perfect match between the realistic style of the European comics with the American comics that are
Mhm.
so adrenalinic, so dynamics. So Ultimates for me is one of the biggest, greatest comics of the history for the artistic part, but also for the
The writing.
writing part, because Mark Miller
Yes.
is one of my favorite authors of the comics. My dream is working for you one day, for him, sorry, for Mark. And so I was really inspired from the work of Brian on Ultimates, and I tried to follow his steps from this point of view, and
Mhm.
I still do that because even if my style is keep evolving, I always try to keep a strong realism on my pages because I really like the thing that you read a comics like it was a movie or a series.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
in the last years, the the comics and the series or the movies are really near each other. And I
Yeah.
think that everything has started with Ultimates because I think that Ultimates inspired a lot the Marvel movies from Avengers and everything. And I still think that this kind of work, this kind of way to draw comics is the one of the best ones. I prefer to work in a realistic way instead of working in a cartoonish way. For me, is like to give to this characters more credibility if you draw them in a realistic way. I like to read them in that way and draw them in that way.
Marco, now that you mentioned your first work on the American uh, market, you got to work. You got to play with the best characters. You got to play with
Yeah, yeah,
Spider-Man, Venom. You got to
Captain
play with
America.
Captain America and Captain America with Bucky
yeah.
wearing the
Uh,
suit.
Winter
It
Soldier.
wasn't. It wasn't Steve. It was Bucky. So it
Yeah,
was one of the best best runs,
Storylines.
storylines and runs there. You worked there with Roger Stern.
yes, yeah, yes. It was fantastic because Roger Stern, as I wrote to him, was one of the artists that I read a lot when I was when I was a boy, a child, and in
Hmm.
fact, when I wrote it to him, he replied to me that okay, thank you, you make me feel old now. But it's true because Roger Stern is a great writer, and it has been a fantastic pleasure working on his scripts. And the funny thing is that his scripts are made in the old way, in the Marvel way.
In the
You
Marvel
know,
way.
they are
Yes.
not so specific. They are a sort of they are not split, for example, in panels. They are more a description of the pages. But
Hmm.
obviously, if you are a professional artist, it's simple to split the various descriptions in panels. It's very simple. So it has been a great experience working on Captain America with the Roger Stern. Absolutely.
Now that you
Marco.
mentioned,
Ah,
sorry, Mario. Now that you
see.
mentioned that you got bored of Western. Now I see this page here with Captain America
Yes,
and this guy, and I said, poor Marco, he had to do
another
again the cowboy
another cowboy.
he's
at
a curious.
Dallas. He
I
had to
was
work.
curious. Yes, yes. In fact, all the people that saw these pages told me, "Ah, you are drawing text again." No, no. I was working on
I,
but,
I
but
was I was gonna ask you if it was a homage for text.
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no. It was this one was I don't remember the name of the characters, but
Dallas.
sorry,
It was called Dallas.
Dallas. Yeah, Dallas. Yes, no, it was in this way. Oh, sorry, it was in this way. The characters was just in this way. So for me, it's not absolutely difficult to draw him because basically it was like to work on text again. So after 330 pages of text, it was a joke to draw a cowboy for me at that point.
hey, Marco, will you enjoy to watch now the TV series about Falcon and Winter Soldier? So
I want to see it. I want to see it. I'm very curious about it. Yesterday we finished to see WandaVision, and
yeah,
we really enjoyed it. I have to
you
say
already
that maybe it's a little weird is okay, but slow is a little slow at the beginning. Maybe too long at the beginning. After that, it
yes.
start to take off. But I like it. I like it. I have to
Did you
say.
like the ending? Did you like the ending?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You already answered me. You already answered me.
No, no,
I
no,
I
no.
think the same. I think the same, Marco. It wasn't what I expected. It wasn't what I expected. That's my short answer.
Yeah, but, well, the end is good. Obviously, I think that with only one episode you can close everything because there wasn't enough space. In fact,
Uh-huh.
when I saw that it was there was only one episode left for the series. Oh, we have Maria Laura.
Hello,
We have Maria Laura. We have
hello.
Maria Laura.
Hola, María Laura.
and and when I saw that there was only one episode left, I thought there wasn't enough space to close all the stuff in
Yes,
a proper way. But I think that is the good part of the Marvel comics, the Marvel cinematic universe, that
yes.
they always left a part open so they can go with new series, new movies. And for me, it's fantastic because I love the series. I love the series maybe more than the movies in the last years.
Mm.
And me and my wife watched a lot of series of various genre, but I have to say that anyway, Marvel did a great work on all the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and also on WandaVision. Anyway, it's a good series, really good
Before
series.
before
There will be another question about
No, no,
another
no,
cinematic.
no, 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 no Snyder cut, no Snyder
No.
cut, no Snyder cut. No,
Ah, you don't
The-
like it? I
I
like it.
love it. I love it.
Oh,
I love it. I love it.
Ah,
I love it. My partner here is the one that says that it's, I don't know, it's like smoke in
no,
the
no, no,
water.
no, no,
It's
no,
smoke
no,
in the
no,
water.
well,
no, no, no. I have an opinion about that. I think it will be a great movie, but I think the thing that the Snyder is doing is that he's spoiling all the elements of the movie. So he
well,
launched a lot of mini trailers, and for me, I wanted to see the whole masterpiece, not especially small spots.
okay, okay. But I think that from what I read on the internet, that reshoot a big part of the movie using
Yes.
the scenes that was cut away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I am curious to see this version. I have to say because I think that the Justice League movie actually it wasn't so terrible because I tried to watch it twice. The first time it was mm, because I have great how to say,
Expectations.
yeah, but after the second time when you watch it mm, without expectation, it's not so bad, but obviously is neither so great. So
Yes.
I think that one of the things that the wins in this field is always the coherence, and I think that the Snyder version could be the best one anyway because I have to say that I loved Batman versus Superman. I loved Man of Steel,
Man of
and
Steel is great.
so it's a different way to show the superheroes, different from Marvel, for example. For example,
Mhm.
I have to say a not so popular opinion, but for example, Guardians of the Galaxy for me is a terrible Marvel movie. I
Oh
don't like it.
no,
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you very
I don't
much.
like it.
no, it's so touching
Yeah,
for me. It's
Thank
you
you.
know,
amazing.
you know
Thank
why?
you.
You know why? Because for me, it's not a Marvel movie. It's a Disney movie. It's different. Okay, it's
Yeah.
not
There you
a
go.
terrible movie. It's
There you
different
go.
Yeah.
because obviously it's funny. The characters are great and everything. But for me, the Marvel characters are different. Should be different. Obviously, are more bright than the DC ones, and
Hmm.
I like this difference. For example, I like the difference between Marvel and DC. I like the more realism of the DC comics, for example.
Hmm.
Marvel sometimes became too much cartoonish, especially in the comics. But it's a
Hmm.
difference. It's good. It's good
So,
anyway.
so
Just, just,
you.
just a few short question before we pass to the DC. Your
Okay.
your your artwork on DC. What do you think? Since you said you're a Star Wars fan
Yeah.
of the last trilogy.
Yeah.
he knows.
Obviously,
He
We
knows.
did the same question to Ron Mars,
uh,
and he refused to answer it.
hard to say. Well, obviously, mm, to tell you the truth, I enjoyed more, for example, the series about Clone Wars or Rebels than
Oh,
the trilogy, the last trilogy, or The Mandalorian, for
oh
example, is
yes, of course.
We
yes,
could
because
we could say you are not a fan of Rey Skywalker.
yeah, no, I like her. I like her, but the problem is, as I said before, the coherence. For example,
Mm.
I liked the first movie, episode 7. For
Yeah.
Yes,
example,
the Force Awakens was
obviously,
good.
is the same exactly story of episode 4. Okay,
Hmm.
but it's good because that's Star Wars. It's something for the fans, and I am a huge fan of Star Wars, and I really enjoy it. Okay, but I have to say that the worst episode that I really didn't like it was the episode 8 because it was you finish episode 7 with Ray that is giving his lightsaber
To look.
to
To the
Luke,
master of all Jedi's.
and after that you started the episode 8 with the Luke that throw it out. And for me, it was terrible. When I saw it, I thought, are they mad? What are they doing? Because I, I understand that is one of that things that make it are made for shocking the fans. But
Yes.
there is a good way to shock the fans and a bad way. That was a bad way for me. So,
Yeah.
but for example, I liked episode 9 but the problem it was that there's still episode 8. So,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
they try
Yes.
to fix
yeah,
it.
They
And
tied the thing about Leia's training and everything like that. It was awful. It
yeah,
was
I know.
awful. That CGI
it
Leia
was
and Luke
forced.
fighting.
What I say, what I always say about episode 8, it's that my favorite character is Luke Skywalker. It's
Okay.
my favorite character of the whole trilogy, and what they did to
I
him,
disagree about the character.
what
Mm,
they did to him, it was
yeah,
like like a stab in my heart, like a stab
yeah,
in my
I
heart.
know,
And
I know.
when later they did this in the Mandalorian with
Yeah,
him,
Yes.
it was something that I almost cried.
yeah,
It was
I cried.
a redemption for him.
I
yeah,
cried.
because it has been a great scene. It was fantastic. I have to
Yeah.
say that from that point of view, Disney did a great job on Star Wars because on Mandalorian, eh, we have to say a thing that Mandalorian is nothing so exceptional from the point of view of the story because the story is very simple if you think about it, but is made in a so good way that you really enjoy watching it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So I loved it because even if it's really simple, but is well. There is a great storytelling in that story.
Mhm.
There is a lot of heart. There is
Yeah.
emotions, and is really well made from all the point of view. And I think that sometimes it's not important the story itself, but if you tell tell it in a very good way, the story became great.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So sometimes it's more important how do you tell the story instead of the story itself. I don't know if I'm clear
Yes, yes,
on
yes,
this.
yes, yes. I know. I
yeah,
know.
of
I'm
course,
able to
of course.
explain that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But anyway, I think that they are doing a great work with Star Wars, but not with the last trilogy.
Not
This
with
is
not with the movies, not with the
Not
yeah,
with the
no,
movies.
movies, just with the
no.
series.
The series are fantastic. I love the Rebels. I am watching Rebels right now, and I love the Clone Wars. For example, the last the season 7 of Clone Wars, I think that is made under Disney, and
Hmm.
for example, is a totally there is a it's totally different from the other series and the other season. So sorry, and I really enjoy it. The season 7 of Clone Wars, for example, is fantastic for me. Really, a step over the other seasons. Rebels is great, Mandalorian is great, and I'm really happy that they are going to make series about Ahsoka Tano and maybe also Luke Skywalker, I think. So
Obi Wan.
yeah,
Obi Wan.
they'll do
Please,
great thing
please.
with it. I hope so. I hope so.
Well, getting back to your work,
Yeah,
you cross the street to the other company,
yeah,
Marvel is
and
here and across the street.
yeah, and you cross the street, and there's a sign says DC Comics,
yeah,
and you start working for DC Comics
yeah.
on this.
Actually, it wasn't my first work for
It
DC.
wasn't. Yeah.
It wasn't my first work because my really first work for DC was a work that I did with Yannick Paquet. Because again, I have to say thank you to a colleague for my entering in DC Comics because Yannick introduced me to Eddie Berganza, that at that time was the editor of Superman Group, and Yannick asked me to make the pencils over his
Layouts.
layouts, and I started in that way, and I loved working on that story. It was a story about Superman and Wonder Woman. It was a story from Superman and Wonder Woman annual,
This one.
and exactly
This
this one, this one.
Nice.
And for me, obviously, it was really, really simple because working on the Yannick layouts, it was really simple, absolutely, because the Yannick is a great artist, fantastic professional, fantastic artist, and great friend of mine. And I have to say thank you again, Yannick, for letting me enter in the DC family. And after that, I worked on the Superman that you showed before.
With
one.
the black suit.
Yeah, this one. And this one was a part of a book of Lois and Clark, Superman, Lois and Clark, the series.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, this at that time, this one wasn't the official Superman of the DC universe because it was the Superman of an alternative universe.
It was
Hmm.
the real one. The real
Yeah,
one.
The
exactly.
real one.
at, at the end, it became the real one,
It was
the
the real
official one.
deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And but I really enjoyed again working on these pages. And the great thing that I was sharing the book with an artist that I working with on the same book for Marvel because I shared the book with Lee Weeks because he
Yeah,
drew
yeah,
some
well,
of the pages and I drew other pages. And when I worked for Marvel, for example, when I worked on Captain America miniseries, Lee drawn the covers for the series. And
Ah,
the funny thing that I met him in New York years later, after we worked on this miniseries. And also Lee is a great guy, a great artist, and I love his work. Absolutely, he's a great master. Absolutely. And after that, I started to working on Injustice and other things.
and other high point on your career on DC was Shazam, when
Yeah,
Shazam movie came up and
yeah,
Jones launched the new run.
yes, yeah.
And how was it work with Dave Eaglesham and Jeff Jones?
It was fantastic. It was fantastic, and I drew the mainly I drew all the second issue, and later I drew parts of the following issues. And I really enjoyed working with Jeff Jones on Shazam because he's a great writer. It's fantastic working on his scripts, and one of the best stories I worked for with him is the number 4 of Shazam. I want to show you this. When I share my, can you show my screen? Okay. When I have had
Oh
the
yeah,
chance to
oh,
work, yes, on this sequence, and for me this one is one of the best sequence I ever drew because it was so funny drawing this kind of world we have all these animal people
yeah.
in this New York 40s, 30s, and so it has been great because I mixed up an historical location with total fantasy characters. And for example, when I drew this double splash, Jeff
hmm
described me all the situations that you can see in these pages. The raccoon with the bear, the police bear, the elephant, the cat mom with the crocodile that they are watching to her.
The rat
you,
there.
yeah. All the elements that you see in this scene are described in the script, and it's so funny working on it. I insert in these scenes also Easter egg, a little Easter egg. If you look at to the left, high left, there is a billboard with
Yes.
A Star Is Born, the movie. And
That is
if you
fun.
take a look to the name of the actors, is a mix because A Star Is Born is a movie that came out
Yeah,
with Lady Gaga and
Yes.
Bradley Cooper 2 years ago, maybe, and
yeah.
it
Yes.
was that period. It was the period that A Star Is Born came out, and I loved the movie.
Yes. In the
And
Great movie.
30s.
yeah,
In the 30s.
and but is a movie that has been made several times in the history.
Yes.
There are several versions of this movie, and I took
I think are four versions.
yeah
For Russia.
yeah,
Four versions.
and I when I knew that I went to Google, I find I found the name of the actors of the past version of the movie, and I
Of course.
tried to transform their name in a way that they became animal name. So Mastiff, Carpike are the name of two animals. I don't remember what, but they sound similar to the surname of the real actors. So
Cool Easter egg. Cool
It's
Easter egg.
amazing. It's
yeah.
amazing.
I like to spend time doing this kind of stuff, and I love to work on these pages, even if they are not superhero pages. But like I said, one of the best part of working on the American comics is that you can mix the the realism with the fantasy all the time. So I can draw characters totally animals, but with real clothes, with real backgrounds and everything. And I loved working on that.
They gave
And
you freedom. They gave you
yeah,
freedom to do to create.
yes, I love it. And the fantastic part of this series, it was about the various words that there was shown in the series. For example, this is a game lens, a word where everything is a video game. And
Mhm.
for example, for these scenes, I was inspired a lot from Tron, the Tron
Yeah.
movie.
Ah,
Yes, of
yeah.
course.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
but so I built this word inspiring myself to Tron, and I don't know if I have that page. That page, okay. Um, Also here, maybe the page is too little. I don't know if you can see it, but in this page, on the second panel, there is another Easter egg that I love to insert. If you look near these two characters, in the characters here, and if you look over this character, you'll see a DeLorean here,
Oh my God.
and these two characters, you can take a look to the book later if you want. If you look
Yeah.
at them better, you'll see that they are the main characters from Ready Player One.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yes, yeah. Artemis and the main characters, I don't remember the name, but and I also loved the Ready Player One. I'm a big
Awesome.
fan of Steven Spielberg movies. I
It's a
grown up
great
with,
movie. It's
yeah.
a
Have you
great,
read the book?
great.
Have you read the
Yes,
book?
yes. I
Awesome book. Awesome book. I love it.
yes, and I have to say they changed the movies. In the movie, they changed a lot the book,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think that they did it in a good way. In a good way, the movie is really enjoyable. The movie, from some point of view, is darker from some point of view, but it's
Yeah.
good. Instead, the movie is a happiness for the eyes. Absolutely,
Yeah.
and I love it.
The
And
thing.
when I worked on these pages, I watched the movie previously, so I started to insert stuff inside. I
It's
love
so
it.
cool. It's so cool. You got the chance to tell us these Easter eggs and these things
Yes,
because
of course.
we love comics, we love movies, and now it's something amazing. And
And
you also got to play with so many important characters on DC. You got to play also with Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
and lately you got to do a cover with Maria Laura.
Yeah. This is one of my last works, the cover for Sensational Wonder Woman number
Here,
nine,
oh,
and
it's amazing.
I have had the chance to draw the cover, and the interiors are from Maria Laura that did a great job inside them.
yeah.
And they asked me just because I am the husband of Maria Laura, because it was fun to see my wife that was working inside the pages, and I do the cover. For me,
You
it has been an honor.
it's amazing the cover because she's the real hero. So and she's fighting with many soldiers. So it looks like when we talk about late before about the art of European art, because
Yeah,
this cover is it's like a European style, and
absolutely.
I love it. It's amazing. It's
Thank you, thank
just
you.
amazing,
Yeah,
just
but
amazing.
many times the people say, "Oh, your style is very European," and for me, it's a compliment. Absolutely,
Yes,
because
of course.
I want to show that. I absolutely want to show that, and I'm lucky because for another reason. Because when I did this cover, obviously, since I work in a realistic way, I like to have strong references from the real world when I work on it,
Hmm.
especially because it's a painted cover.
Hmm.
So the more reference you have for creating something realistic, the better it is. And
Ma-
for this cover, I have a special model that is my wife, because is my wife is a is a perfect model for Wonder Woman.
so
And
she's Wonder Woman.
yeah, absolutely. Many times the people tell that to her. Absolutely. And
And
so,
I want to ask you about the cover,
yeah.
and this is especially in a year. It's in time. What kind of year? What year it is?
It's about the World War II.
World War
So
Two, right?
yeah, yeah. Since with the new DC continuity, um, Wonder Woman is already present in the World War II. She have the suit like the classical suit, the
Yeah,
classical clothes. So the story is about the World War II, and obviously Wonder Woman is drawn in the classical way, in a very
it's
classical way.
amazing. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
beautiful. It's a
She's
beautiful.
fighting the Nazis. Yeah,
No, not in Italy. It's a shame because it would be good, no?
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I love
I,
working on that.
Yes, I love it. So I think that this comic about Wonder Woman will be a crossover with another hero. I suppose to be by Superman
Oh,
in that kind of outfit, right? And kind of suit.
this series?
Yes, I am. I think no. I'm asking you if it will be a crossover or something.
Oh no, it's a story about only about Wonder Woman.
Only
From
about Wonder
yeah,
Woman.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes,
It's a
and
it's a special series that they did for celebrating the anniversary for Wonder Woman, essentially.
it's it's amazing. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
And also you got we got here when we had to talk about Green Lantern. You
Okay,
have you you yeah, of course.
Is it?
Kyle Rayner reviews, Green Lantern,
obviously,
Of
obviously.
all
course.
matches, all matches. Um, you worked on first on Rebirth, I think, books of the Green Lanterns. These ones I have here.
Yes,
I have a couple here.
yeah.
Um, where you had to here's Kyle. You got
Sorry.
here's Kyle Rayner.
Yeah,
Here's Jessica
yeah,
Simon
Cruz,
Bass.
uh,
yeah. All the
Simon Bass.
lanterns.
You got to play with everyone. Uh,
Yes, yes.
how, how was it to play to draw these characters and change
Fantastic.
from more sci-fi style that you
Yes.
say you love?
Well, obviously, it has been great for several reasons. One of them is I was working with exactly with Dan Jurgens, that is a great writer, also a great artist, but is a great writer, and it's great working with with an artist that is writing, because he can give to you great advices about the pages and the way you can draw them. And I really enjoyed working on this story also, just because I have had the chance to work on all the main lanterns, actually, with all these big ships like the Star Destroyers, very similar to the Star Destroyers from Star Wars. And it has been a pleasure, because I drawn about 3 books of the series, and I substitute the official artist of the series, that is Mike Perkins, one of friends of
Hmm.
mine, a great artist. And I have to say thanks so much to Mike, because he inspired me a lot in this work, because he made me change my way to work, because when I started to working on for DC Comics, the first works I did for DC Comics, for example, all the long run on Injustice, I was working in
Hmm.
digital, but I was working in digital not because I like to work in digital, but because it's simpler and faster. And so, just for a matter of deadlines, stuff like that. But at some point, when I met Mike, I saw that he was able to do a really good work on paper, and in a with a very good velocity. So I started to say, okay, if he can do it, I can try to do the same again. And so I come back to the paper, and I started to rework again on paper with this series. And I have to say that I never stopped, because
Mm.
uh, I use the digital, for example, to create the layouts of the pages, because it's, as I said, it's simpler, faster, and everything. You can change it in a fast way, the various elements if you need it. But I prefer to do the final part of the work on paper, because the working on paper for me is the best way to for the rendering of the pages, because
Got it.
I don't know how to explain it to you properly, but it's warmer. It's something
Mm.
different from digital. Obviously, there are a lot of digital artists. The digital artists are good anyway, but I prefer for myself to work on paper. Also because, after you spend so many hours on a page, is a little sad not having nothing in your hands, because I
Yeah,
prefer to have the physical
Yes.
pages. You have to think that when I started to work in this field, it was as I said before, 1995. The digital doesn't
Yes.
exist, didn't
Didn't
exist.
exist. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kept myself um, connected to the more artistic part of this work, the classical part of this work. So I prefer to work on paper, absolutely.
Do you prefer to work on paper when you have to do something like, I don't know, a simple illustrations, or do you prefer to work on paper, on digital, when you have to work on, I don't know, for example, the crowded city with all these elements and small things where you can zoom in and correct
Yeah.
and get back
Yes.
to.
Yes, obviously, I prefer to use the digital for, as I said, for the first part of the work, the layout part. I always start working in digital because it's fast, it's faster. For also for the reason you said, but there is a problem when you work in digital. If you zoom too much on the pages, tend to do too much elements, and this is wrong because you have to look at the page from a specific distance to see if the pages work. So the digital give to you the chance to zoom, to create all mad elements, all mad particular in the pages. But when you see the pages printed, sometimes this is not good because that particulars become little, and everything melt together. It's not good. Instead, if you work on paper, you are forced to use this the right amount of particulars on the page. And as I said, you have something in your hand when you finish the page.
Okay. Cool.
Getting back to Green Lantern, you say you work with Dan Jurgens,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
had to
What
work,
about
you
that?
had to draw Superman, Cyborg Superman, because Cyborg
fantastic.
Superman is his son.
Yes, yes.
I love
It has been great. It has
Awesome.
been great. I really enjoyed this part. Really, really, really.
Here I got a question from one of the subscribers: is
Travis.
which is your favorite lantern?
My favorite Green Lantern,
Yeah,
oh, I think is Hal Jordan, the classical one. The
the
classical
classical
one.
one.
I still have some problems in drawing Kilowog, for example, because he has a strange anatomy on the head of the head. So I still have to understand very well how it works because it's a really strange lantern. But uh, my favorite one is Al Jordan, but I loved all them. I have to say that I love all them. In the in this new series, the series that I'm working now, what I can say is that, for example, John Stewart is the maybe one of the main important character at the moment, but I can't say nothing more because I don't want to spoil anything.
Of course.
But I can say to you that the series is great, really great. I'm working on the issue number 2. It was great because I was sharing, I sharing the books with Dexter Soy, and the book will be 30 pages, very big book for the American standard. And the great part is that the story will be split at some point in 2 specific storylines, and so I draw my part, Dexter draw his part, and so it will be something great, something great. And I have to say that in this series, changed a bit my way to work because, for example, as you can see in this example that I posted on Instagram, I started to work with gray tones because
Yeah.
since working only with the black and white wasn't enough for me, I decided to complicate my life starting to work with gray tones. But in this way, I can do a lot of funny things, effects, special effects, create atmosphere like the scene you can see. and so I mix the classical way to ink with the gray tones. It's another thing that, for example, I saw from Mike Perkins. Also, Mike Perkins works in this way, and I think that he's doing a great job on Swan Thing. That is another character that I draw for DC Comics, for
Yes.
example. Swan Thing.
Since you can say nothing about this new Green Lantern run, uh, I
I
will I
can
will
say.
I will have to ask:
I
Is
know.
there a
I know,
chance?
guys.
Is there a chance we got to see again Hal and Kyle, for example, because they are the ones missing in the cover, for example?
I can assure you that you'll see a lot of lanterns. I can
Okay,
say that a lot of
okay,
stuff will happen. A lot of big stuff happens, but I can't say nothing. Can't say nothing
Yeah.
because I don't want to spoil the work they are doing with the great story by Jeffrey, and I can't say nothing. I don't want to spoil nothing. I'm
Of
okay.
sorry,
course.
guys.
Let's go to the
No.
things that we can speak about then. Uh, what about what was it? Work with one of the people we interview lately. It was Ron Mars
Mm,
in Endless Winter. We
yeah.
here in Argentina, it wasn't published yet, so we
Okay.
can speak about spoilers, but we can show some of the art. We can
Sure.
speak about the Justice League
Yes.
Viking. That it's
Yeah.
something that
Yeah.
really got me into. Uh, Actually, it was for me it was the best part of the whole book. It was the part of the flashbacks with the Justice League Viking. The art is so solid there, and it was awesome. How was your experience working in Endless Winter and with all the line of books, because it was Superman,
Yeah.
Flash, Justice League
Wonder
Dark,
Woman.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Obviously, for me, it has been like to draw a couple of books because the ends I was in all the 9 books with my pages, but the total of the pages I was about 39, so about 2 books, and I got a lot of fun working on this event because. First of all, they gave me the chance to design the Justice League Viking, and it's great. It's great. I spend a lot of time to rework the costumes. Obviously, they are not totally different because they have to look like the classical characters, but I try to put my style on them. So uh, I spent some days to draw Viking Prince, Hippolyta, Swan Thing, Black Adam, and obviously the main villain that is the Frost King. And it was great because I have had the chance to do something about superheroes, but with a totally historical situation. So I put together my European and American experience to create this work. So
Hmm.
it has been a great experience. Really much fun. I have had a lot of fun doing it. Absolutely.
Marco, were you familiar with these characters? I know that you already worked with Swamp Thing,
Yeah.
but what about with Hippolyta, Viking Prince? I think Viking Prince not, but what about Black Adam, one of the biggest characters in
Yes.
Seer?
Well, obviously after Shazam, I already knew very well
Hmm.
Black Adam, And obviously, I knew Hippolyta thanks to Wonder Woman, even if I drew only a couple of issues of Wonder Woman. But the only one that I didn't know was Viking Prince, because he's a very classical character. But as I said, it has been great, because for me it was pretty simple to draw the backgrounds of this series, because it's, as I said, it's very European. So I spent a lot of time for finding the references and everything about the costumes, about the backgrounds, about the villages. By luck, there are a lot of stuff about the Vikings thanks to the TV series like Vikings, for example. So it's not so hard, but obviously you spend a lot of time finding the stuff. And in fact, one of the bigger parts of my work is finding references, because for me it's important, really important, to create something credible when I work on this kind of comics. Even if it's a superhero genre, I want that is credible in the historical context. And so I spend a lot of time on that, but I really enjoy it. I have to say thank you to Andrea Shia and Alex Cart that involved me in the project.
You know, your art really blends with the flashbacks. It's really awesome. And as I said, it was the for me when I read the story was the best part of the book.
Thank you.
Actually, I would have I would love to see more of this Justice League Viking drawn by you.
Yeah,
It's awesome, and it's very, I don't know how to say, it's like this kind of group of outsiders that
yeah,
try to do their best to beat the bad guy, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
yeah.
It's
It
great.
has been an interesting experiment, I have to say. Yes, yes, yes.
And what about this experiment? Oh,
Oh,
and we are reaching our boiling point here because it's Dark Knight's death metal has ended, and Generation Shattered began, and you got into Generation Forge with
Yes,
and again.
yeah. No, actually, I drew the pages written by another writer. Oh, I don't remember the name of the writer. Sorry, but I think
Benditti,
and
no Benditti,
Andy Schmidt. Andy
Andy
Schmidt.
Schmidt, Andy
Okay,
Schmidt.
Andy. Um, this one was difficult for me because for several reasons. Because I have had to draw sequences inside a bigger story. I draw only some pages of this
Some
big book.
pages.
And when you work on a book that is made with several artists, it's difficult sometimes, because you jump in something that you never you never see. You don't know what happened before, so it's difficult. And I never drew Krypton. I never drew these characters. So for me, it required a lot of documentation. I spent some time
I
to find.
I've told Kyle about the artwork in this particular in Krypton. It's like it looks like the classical Krypton. You know
Yes,
the uniform, the police uniform, the uniforms,
yes,
the Shorel. It's
yeah.
amazing. It's really amazing. I love it. I really love it.
Yeah. They specifically asked me to do that. For example, the look of Krypton in the scene where Kamandi jump out of the window is it has been looking at the classical look of Krypton. They wanted it. They wanted the classical look of the characters, the backgrounds, and everything. It, obviously for the reason of the story. And so I have to took a lot of attention to do that. Absolutely, I spend a lot of time for this.
You got to work with Kamandi, and this is a scene that I put here. That when he jumps out of the window, when I read it, it was I love it. I love it because it's so dynamic, it's so
Mhm.
cinematical.
Thank you.
So you really capture the moment,
Yeah.
and it's awesome.
Th-
And
Thank you
also,
so much.
uh,
He loves
also
Kamandi, yeah. I have to say,
I really love Kamandi.
he loves
Yeah,
Kamandi.
yeah,
I have to say thank you absolutely because and say thanks because you said cinematic because when I drew the pages I think like a movie. For me, it's
Mm.
really important that there is a connection between a panel and another. Is that it should be the more natural as possible. And if you enjoy it, I say thank you.
it was one of the
Amazing.
when I read this part. One of the things I like about your work is how you draw females. You draw like Maria Laura. Both draw very
Hmm.
very good females,
Thank you.
Yes.
and these layouts, this artwork, this sequential art was really great. When I read the book, uh, I was like kind of surprised because I realized that it was another artist. And when I look for the pages, you post it on Instagram, and it says, "Ah, okay, it was Marco Santucci." Okay, okay, I get it. I get it. Why I like it.
Thank you. Thank you so
And
much.
and you got to play also with here Omag.
Yes, great character. I actually I know Homak only a bit, but I love the character because I remember him from the miniseries by John Byrne in the 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
I
black and
think in
white.
the 90s.
In black
Sorry?
and white.
Yes, it was fantastic. I
Four issues in black and white in prestige
yes,
format.
yes, the great story, great art. John Byrne was one of my favorite artists in that period, absolutely. And I loved that character, absolutely.
We're gonna finish the interview with two things. Because we don't want
Sorry.
to steal you more time. I think we steal you enough
We need
time, and you
more
have
time.
been so kind answering our question, all
Thank you.
our fun questions, and all our I don't know geek questions about Star Wars, about everything Marvel this year.
You see
Um,
everything.
one of the things that one of the subscribers asked is what series of DC Comics did you like to work most?
The ones I worked before, you mean?
Since from now till now, which
Ah, until now,
till
my
now?
favorite one. Hmm, hmm, good question. Uh, to tell you the truth, maybe uh, Shazam was absolutely one of my
Hmm.
favorites. Shazam. I have to say that uh, Green Lantern is giving me a lot of satisfaction. Also, yes,
Hmm.
I've just started, but I think that it could be one of the best. Absolutely, and hmm, yeah, these two. I also love to working on, for example, on Injustice because it's one of
Uh-huh.
my first one big work. But yes,
Hmm.
Shazam and Green Lantern are among my favorites. I'd like to work. My dream is working on Batman one day. I'd like
Oh,
to try with
Mm,
Batman. Absolutely, yes, yes, yes. I'd like to try it.
so you're not far. Yeah, you're far from grounded because you're in the space with Green Lantern, but
Yes.
but you're near. You're near. You're
Yeah, yeah. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah.
you're getting closer, closer, closer. Maybe
Yeah.
detective. I don't know.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
You're
But
getting closer.
for now, I'm very happy to work on Green Lanterns, as I said, and because, as I said, I love the sci-fi.
Hmm.
I'm a Star Wars guy, so for me, drawing alien worlds, action, starships, and all this stuff is fantastic. So
Hello.
I can wait to show you more. We can wait to
Yeah,
show.
I'm really looking forward to your run with Jeffrey because it was a tough. Sorry for Grant Morrison, and but it was a tough run with Grant Morrison on Green Lantern because it was a totally different Green Lantern run
Yes.
since Venditti and Jeff Johns run, and the only thing that I really got happy about it was Liam Sharp's artwork
Okay.
that was amazing. And
Hmm.
now I think we're getting back to the more mainstream, more friendly to the
To
reader,
the
uh,
audience.
to the audience. Yeah, the reader.
Yes, yes.
So I'm happy and I'm looking forward to read that book. And
Me too.
to end to end this end interview, what we always do is show some commissions or you did for fans in conventions or
Okay. Ah, okay.
some of this
Oh,
like
Yeah, I love working on the commission. Lately, I haven't so much time to do that. In fact, I have some clients that are waiting for a lot. But when I have the chance, I try. I like to work on commissions because they give to me the chance to use different technique, like
and
for example the copics, the crayons, the paintings. For example, in this period, I'm trying to learn how to paint, and I have to say that I love to do that.
oh,
Yes, this is really old, 2013. Yeah.
this is awesome.
it's
This is
amazing.
made
Thank
this is
you.
made with Copic markers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. The copy can a good way to create a paint effect without paint. But now I start working with acrylics and things like that. I start to use the colors, and I'm trying to improve that part of my work. Yes,
This one here, this Wonder Woman is with acrylics or it's Copic.
Copic is just cold and warm copics.
Mm.
It look like something colored, but actually they are just gray, warm and cold grays. So it's not a
Ah,
really painting.
mhm.
And here you got some Star Wars,
Yeah,
some Thor. It couldn't you couldn't miss Star Wars. So
yeah.
That fight.
look at this. Look at this.
I have
Oh,
I'm lucky because Maria Laura always pose for me for these commissions.
to the commissions.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And she also give to me a lot of advices about how to draw women's because she's
Ah,
very good with the women's. So
hmm,
I'm I'm very
yes.
lucky from many point of view.
I'm very lucky.
Yeah, yeah. You know, very little artists, a few artists actually,
Yes.
draw women in the correct way or the way I like it, and
Hmm.
you are the one of them as Maria Laura. So
Thank
Hmm.
you, thank
no,
you,
They're
really
great.
really
They're
like it.
really great.
thank you,
Hmm.
guys. Thank you.
Yes.
And I had to finish with Kyle Rayner.
Okay, guys.
My man Kyle Rayner is there, and to thank you about this awesome interview, Marco. It
Yes.
was a total pleasure. Total
My,
pleasure.
my pleasure.
You've been so kind to answer
Thank
every
you.
question we have, every
Thank,
question, and
thanks
speak
to
about
you.
everything, everything,
Yes.
everything. We spoke about everything.
As I told you, I speak too much.
We could stay a long time, long time talking about.
We could stay
Could
the
stay
whole day
the
speaking
whole
about
day.
artwork, about Star Wars, about Marvel.
My pleasure.
So so it's a real pleasure. I hope you had a great time here, and you're welcome to come back whenever you
Whenever you
want.
want.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. So have a
Thank
great day, and I hope to speak with you soon. Okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure, of course.
okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And now we're gonna speak in Spanish, Marco, and say goodbye to our subscribers. Eh, Muchas gracias por estar ahí. Espero que disfruten
Hermoso,
la
hermosa
entrevista, la
entrevista.
verdad, hermosa entrevista. El sábado que viene, a la misma hora,
Mira, por el mismo Vaticanal.
por el mismo Vaticanal, tenemos una entrevista, otra entrevista, justamente de protagonista del cómic. Así que no se la pierdan, la voy a estar anunciando esta semana que viene. Y muchas gracias y nos vemos, gente.
Nos vemos.
Hasta luego.
Adeus.